Yes, sir. So we are going to solve the answer for the cost accounting system. I believe that you have tried at least one and you would have got some answer. What we are supposed to do is, first we have to find out the profit as per the financial records. That means just we are going to act as a chartered accountant, then cost accountant, then the reconciliation. That's it. So in the trading P&L account, as we all know that we have to credit all the income. The first major income is sales. They themselves given that sales is 45 lakh 60,000. That's the value we have credited by sales, 45 lakh 60,000. And we will be crediting the closing stock, sir, raw material closing stock, WIP closing stock, and also the finished goods closing stock. They have given the closing stock of finished goods and closing stock of WIP, but they have not given the closing stock of raw material. So I will be writing only the closing stock of the finished goods 91,300 and also the WIP 82,400. That stock also I have credited. Since this is financial account, all the income will be credited. Sir, rent received is an income and interest received is an income. In our general P&L account, all the income we used to credit. I believe that you are able to appreciate the credit side of the P&L account. Coming to the debit side. To opening stock of finished goods, my dear lovable students, they themselves said that this many units should be valued at opening stock. 625 units are there. Actually, 625 into opening stock should be valued at 240. You will be getting 1,50,000. Whereas, sir, the financial books of the company's opening stock is 1,06,250. The same value I am writing in the financial accounts. Whereas if you see the costing, opening stock value will be 1,50,000. Fine, fantastic. So there is a difference in the opening stock value. Let it be there. We will be taking care in the reconciliation. So opening stock of finished goods 1,06,250. To WIP, opening value of WIP is 92,000 given in the question, and they clearly said in the question that there is no difference of WIP valuation between the financial accounts and the cost accounts. So 92,000 is the WIP value. Raw material consumed. What do you mean by raw material consumed? Opening stock of raw material at purchases of raw material minus closing stock of raw material, which they themselves given as 16,80,000. This we have to write in the trading account debit side. To direct labor, given in the question 12,20,000. To factory overhead 8,44,000. Here I will be writing whatever I have actually incurred. This principle you understand. In financial accounts, we will be recording whatever actually incurred. Whatever actually incurred. But in costing, we will be recording whatever we have absorbed. There is a difference between whatever actually incurred and whatever absorbed. So in accounts, sir, I have spent 8,44,000 for factory overhead. So I will be debiting that 8,44,000 in the trading and P&L account. That's it. To administration overhead, 3,96,000, my dear lovable students. So that 3,96,000 rupees I have actually incurred. To selling and distribution overhead, for every unit sold, 6 rupees is what the cost accounting. But I have incurred 1,44,000. These and all actually incurred will be debited in the trading account. That's what 1,44,000. To dividend paid is an expenses. Bad debt is an expenses. So my net profit which I am getting as per the accounts is 1,39,450. So what is step number 1? We have to prepare the normal trading and P&L account. That means we have to credit all the incomes. We have to debit all the expenses. So just follow the basic trading and P&L account format. To opening stock, all varieties of stocks such as raw material, WIP and finished goods. Then we have to debit the direct labor and the factory overhead or direct expenses. then credit the sales and closing stock. Basically, we will be getting the gross profit, but we are skipping that gross profit and we are crediting the indirect income and debiting the indirect expenses. We are getting the net profit. Fantastic to the core. So, I'm moving to the second part of the answer. Statement of profit as per costing records. Sir, what is the statement of profit as per costing records? What is the sales revenue? You sold 12,615 units, which is same both in accounts and also in costing. So you will be getting total sales revenue of 45,60,000 and the sales is same both in accounts and costing because both are actuals. There is no concept of actuals and absorbed for the element sale. But with regard to cost of sale, there will be difference in costing because cost of sales means opening stock plus purchases. Here literally it is cost of production minus closing stock, my dear lovable students. What is the opening stock? 625 units was there. For the purpose of costing, question said that value the opening stock at 240 per unit. So 625 into 240 units means 1,50,000 rupees is the value of the opening stock in costing. But this is not the value of opening stock in accounts. So surely there will be a profit difference because of the either overvaluation or undervaluation of the opening stock. I believe that you are able to appreciate or understand. Sir, at cost of production, in this question, they have missed how many units they have produced. For that, you can quickly use the trading account technique. We all know that, sir, in the credit side of the trading account, we will be crediting by sales. And we will be crediting by closing stock. Are you all really with me? Sir, to opening stock and balance will be the production as balancing figure. If the number of units is missing, my dear lovable students, sales and closing stock should be added and opening stock should be reduced. We are having number of units sold. How many number of units sold? Sir, 12,615 units has been sold. They clearly said that 415 units are in closing stock. So total 13,013 units. Sir, in that 13,013 unit, 625 units are opening stock. So 12,405 units is what the number of units produced. This is how you got the 12,405 units. Every unit should be produced during the current year. So it should be valued at the current cost of production. To get the current cost of production, I have to prepare the cost sheet, my dear lovable students. In order to manufacture that 12,405 units, we would have consumed raw material. Am I right? How much is the raw material consumed given in the question? 16,80,000. So we would have spent material to the extent of 16,80,000. Sir, on that material, we would have worked. So we would have spent direct labor. How much is the direct labor? 12,20,000 rupees is the direct labor, my dear lovable students. So the prime cost will be direct material plus direct labor comes to 29 lakh, which is nothing but 16,80,000 plus, sir, 12,20,000 comes to 29 lakhs is the prime cost. At factory overhead, you tell me, is this costing or accounts? This is costing. In costing, we will not write actuals. We will only absorb the overhead, right? So in factory overhead, 70% of the direct wages, which is nothing but 12,20,000 into 70%, my dear lovable students, 8,54,000. Coming to the factory cost, which is nothing but prime cost plus the factory overhead, comes to 37,54,000. Add opening stock of WIP given in the question, 92,000. Less closing stock of WIP given in the question, 82,400. So you will get the factory cost of, sir, goods produced is nothing but factory cost plus opening stock of WIP minus closing stock of WIP. We will call this as net factory cost also. Sir, 37,63,600. Add administration overhead related to production, which is nothing but QRAP minus scrap, which is 15% of the factory cost. So 37 lakh 63,600 into 15% comes to 5 lakh 64,540. Getting it? So what is the total cost of production? 43 28,140. This is for 12,405 units, my dear lovable students. That means for every number of unit, sir, we have spent 43 lakh 28,140 divided by 12,405 comes to 348.90 rupees we have spent per unit. 348.90 per unit is the cost of production. That's what they have written here. Add cost of production 43 lakh 28,140. Fantastic to the core. So what we have taken? We have taken the opening stock of finished goods. Add production of finished goods. We have to reduce the closing stock of finished goods. If you are following FIFO method, first in, first out method, first we would have sold the opening stock. Whatever balance available with us will be from the current year production. So 43 lakh 28,140 is for, sir, totally 12,405 units. But only 415 units are with me as the closing stock. That means 1,44,795 is the proportionate cost for the closing stock what is available with me. Are you getting it? So the production cost of goods sold is for whatever goods I have sold, the cost is 43 lakh 33,345. On that, I would have incurred selling and distribution overhead. For every unit sold, sir, the absorbed overhead is 75,690. So my cost of sales is 44 lakh 9,035. This is what my cost of sales. So from the sales, if I reduce the cost of sales, I will be having a profit of 1,50,965. So there is a difference in profit between the financial accounts and the cost accounts. There should. Because in financial accounts, certain item has been considered. Those item has never been considered in the cost accounts. In cost accounts, we have not booked the expenses based on what it is actually incurred. We have just absorbed the overhead, my dear lovable students. So, I am coming to the reconciliation part, the last part, the hero part. What is the profit as per cost accounts? 1,50,600 and 1,50,965. Fantastic to the core. Add administration overhead over absorbed. You check one by one. First one, what is the actual administration overhead incurred? Administration overhead is 3,96,000. This is what really incurred. So in costing also we should have, sir, book it as expense only 3,96,000. But in costing, in the cost sheet, administration overhead, we have booked 5,64,540. So because of over absorption of administration overhead related to production, the expenses in the costing would have been increased. If expenses increased, automatically the profit reduces. Profit should not reduce. So that difference should be added back. So the difference between 5,64,540 and 3,96,000, that difference of 1,68,540 is extra booked in the cost accounts. Because of that, costing profit would have been reduced. It should not happen, should be added back. Fantastic to the core. Now the next point of difference is the opening stock. Look at the value of the opening stock. In financial accounts, the value of opening stock is 1,06,250. But in cost accounts, the value of the opening stock is 1,50,000. As we all know the general principle that if the value of the opening stock increases, profit decreases. So in costing, the value of opening stock is more as compared to the value of the opening stock in financial accounts. So because of the overvaluation of the opening stock value in the costing, my dear lovable students, automatically what would have happened? No, the profit as per the costing would have been reduced. It should not happen. So that difference should be added back. So 1,50,000 minus, sir, 1,06,250. 43,750 should be added back. Now, interest received. What has happened? Analyze. Interest received has only been booked in the financial accounts. So, profit as per financial accounts would have been increased. But we have not recorded in the cost accounts at all. If we record in the cost accounts, automatically costing profit should also increase. Should increase. So, I am manually adding that 76,000. The same logic for rent received also. Now, factory overhead recovered. What is the actual factory overhead you have incurred in accounts? 8,44,000. But in costing, I will absorb. In costing, factory overhead is 8,54,000. So, really, sir, factory overhead is 8,44,000. But I have absorbed 8,54,000. This is over absorption. Once, sir, over absorption will lead to overbooking of expenses in the cost accounting system. So automatically when the expenses increases, profit reduces. Profit should not reduce. So that difference should be added back. That's what that 10,000. So the net effect to be added back is 3,90,290. Fantastic to the core. Now less selling and distribution overhead under recovery. Go and check the selling and distribution. What is the real selling and distribution? You have incurred 1,44,000. But only how much absorbed? 75,690. Because of under absorption of overhead in the cost accounts, expense as per the cost accounts would have been reduced. If expenses reduces, automatically the profit will increase in the cost accounts. It should not happen. So, we are now correctly booking the correct expenses. 68,310 expenses has been short booked in costing. We have rectified that. So automatically the profit of the costing will comes down. It should come down. Now what is the closing stock valuation? Closing stock as per accounts is, if you see the credit side, it is finished goods is 91,300. But we will value the closing stock in costing as per the current cost of production, which comes to 1,44,795. So if the value of closing stock is more than the costing, the profit as per the costing will be more. So because of overvaluation of closing stock in costing, automatically my profit in the costing will be more. It should not happen. So that should be reduced, my dear lovable students. That's what, sir, closing stock overvalued 53,495. Sir, dividend, we have recorded only in the financial accounts. Dividend paid, correct? Not received, paid. So because of that, profit as per the financial accounts would have been reduced. Now, if you have booked that expense in costing, automatically the costing profit would have been reduced. So now I am manually reducing. The same explanation for bad debt. Bad debt as booked as expense only in the financial accounts, not in the costing. If we have booked that, my dear lovable students, automatically the profit as per the costing would have been reduced. So we are manually reducing that. So 4,01,805. The profit as per the financial accounts is 1,39,450. Look at here, man. 1,39,450. It is exactly matching. Sir, if you have done this question by yourself and if you got the answer, you are brilliant. Salute to you, my dear lovable students. Otherwise, if you have done and when you are checking, if you have learned a lot of things, I just want to know as a teacher where you learned or where you went wrong. So we'll meet at the appropriate time. Till that, thank you and bye-bye from me.